Hi everybody. In this video I would like to go over some of the main points in our selection from William Paley entitled Preparatory Considerations from his book Evidences of Christianity from 1794. Paley's focus in this work is to refute Hume's position on miracles. There are a lot of interesting points made, but I will focus on the ones that directly confront Hume's view of miracles. Paley, of course, believes in miracles and begins by addressing a supposition and a reason for miracles to happen. On page 1, he says, "Suppose the world we live in to have a creator. This makes it clear that he's not arguing for the existence of God, rather he is assuming the existence of God right from the beginning. So he says in my slight paraphrase, right in here, you can follow along and make notes in your own version. I would suggest that. It's always good when watching these videos to pause it and look for the section that I'm talking about and make your own notes on your own version of the papers. So from my own paraphrase, I say, suppose further that humans have received faculties from their maker, by which they are capable of rendering moral obedience to his will. And suppose the Creator intends for these people to have a second state of existence in which their situation will be, by their behavior in the first state, good or bad. He goes on to say that if this Creator wanted his subjects to know what is intended for them, and wanted to pass along knowledge of this intention and how to achieve rewards in the next life, how could it be improbable that this deity would want to make a revelation? Or to put it in a more positive form, of course God would want to let humans know what he expected of them, and the communication would be in the form of a miracle. Again, Paley is upfront in pointing out that he is not trying to prove the existence of God here, but rather is saying that if God exists, it would not only be not impossible, but would even be probable that this deity would express a revelation to humankind by way of miracles. Now, Paley then presents an objection from Hume. Okay. Right in this area here. The objection from Hume is that it is contrary to experience that a miracle should be true, but not contrary to experience that human testimony can be false. He says that the narrative of a fact is only contrary to experience when the fact is said to have happened at a time and place, and we, being present, perceive no such event to have taken place. In other words, in Paley's view, Hume was ill-advised to say that miracles are contrary to experience, when the fact of the matter is that they would only be contrary to experience if someone else was present and had not seen the miracle happen. So if everyone present witnesses a miracle, the miracle cannot be said to be contrary to experience. Paley says that the force of experience as an objection to miracles is founded in the presumption either that the course of nature is invariable, or that variations will be frequent and general. He says, is there any good reason for judging this to be the case? Shouldn't we expect that God on occasions will interrupt? Shouldn't we expect that God on occasions will interrupt the order which he has appointed. As a result, once we believe there is a God, miracles can even be expected to happen. Paley then goes on to discuss Hume's points about human testimony. Hume has said that testimony could never prove the existence of a miracle because our experience of the laws of nature have shown us that laws of nature don't change, whereas testimony can often be mistaken. Paley says that the evidence of the testimony is a phenomenon. One moment. Right in here. Okay. Paley says that the existence of the testimony is a phenomenon, and the fact that the miracle happened, I'm paraphrasing a bit, the fact that a miracle happens solves the phenomenon. In other words, it explains the phenomenon. So if we reject the solution we have to have some solution. Okay, excuse me. So if we reject the solution that says that a miracle explains the phenomenon, we have to have some other solution to rest in. And none can be admired which is not consistent with the principles that regulate human affairs. In simpler terms, then, when a bunch of folks say they have witnessed a miracle, in order to reject their testimony, we need to have some other explanation that seems more likely to have happened than the miracle. Okay. Here we go. Paley then says, if 12 men whose good sense and trustworthiness I have long known should seriously and circumstantially relate to me an account of a miracle, and they should refuse to change their story even on threat of all kinds of harms, paraphrasing again, there exists not a skeptic in the world who would not believe them. Here we go. Pardon me. So what should convince us of biblical testimony about the resurrection of Jesus, for instance, is that so many people reported it, and they were actually under threat of much harm to change their stories, and yet they didn't change their stories. According to Paley, these and other similar factors should convince us that the miracles did in fact happen. Hume, in his paper on miracles, proposed 3 accounts of miracles that sounded just as likely to have occurred as the miracles in the New Testament. Paley discusses each one in turn and shows how we know that these are more likely false, most likely false, in contrast to the New Testament miracles, which he takes to be true. At the end of the paper, Paley says that none of these miracles fit the criteria that he believes fit the accounts of New Testament miracles. Pardon me a moment. Sorry. Therefore, they are not credible while the New Testament miracles are. Okay, so he discusses it through this in part. And all through this part here on page 8 and 9. In any case, I hope this video has helped you understand this very interesting article. Thank you for your time and attention.